What does ancient Rome sound like? When you think of the Roman Empire, you probably picture soldiers, aqueducts, and grand marble statues. But what about the music? We see instruments and statues and mosaics, harps, horns, and pipes. But the actual sound, it vanished the moment the last Roman musician took their final breath. That is, until now. Imagine holding a piece of debris from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. To most, it's just a rusted pipe. But the musicologists Dr. Adrian Corvin and luthier Elena Vance, it's a key to a lost world. This fragment of aromatibia, or bone pipe, was the first step in an ambitious project they called Project Res. Their goal wasn't just to study these instruments, it was to rebuild them, piece by piece, and hear the Roman Empire as it truly sounded. The challenge was immense. The wooden bodies of instruments had mineralized, but their internal shapes were preserved. Using CT scans and 3D printing, the team could recreate the physical form. But the real soul of an instrument, like the reed of a pipe, was gone forever. It had to be reverse-engineered from physics and ancient texts. Their first big test was the Cornu, the giant, G-shaped brass horn used by the Roman military. This was the sound of the legions, the instrument of war that signaled the advance of armies that conquered the known world. Modern brass is too pure, so the team's metallsmith, Mark, had to smelt his own bronze, using ancient recipes from Pliny the Elder, full of impurities like zinc and lead. The result was a beast. 11 feet of bronze, heavy as a shield. When Adrian, a former trombone player, first tried to play it, the sound wasn't musical. It was a raw, terrifying blast that shook the entire lab. This wasn't a concert instrument. It was an acoustic weapon. Imagine 50 of these blasting across a battlefield. It was designed to shatter an enemy's morale before the first sword was even drawn. They had found the voice of the legions, but the biggest mystery was the Aulos, a double-pipe instrument played with a single mouthpiece. It was the sound of theater, religious rituals, and wild parties. For months, every replica Elena built sounded terrible like a dying goose. The ancient texts describe the Aulos as sweet, buzzing, and capable of inspiring madness. Her replicas just screeched. The breakthrough came from a re-examination of X-rays. They discovered faint rings around the finger holes, almost invisible under corrosion. These weren't just simple holes, they were rotating bronze sleeves. The Romans had built a kind of mechanical synthesizer. Musicians could change keys and play complex scales by rotating these rings, a level of engineering nobody had expected. Elena went back to work. She crafted new reeds, larger and wider, and fitted the pipes with the rotating bronze sleeves. When she finally played it, the sound was hypnotic. A low, resonant drone with a mournful melody woven over it. The two pipes created a natural dissonance, a beating frequency that vibrated deep inside your skull. This was the sound of a trance, the sound that could inspire madness. For the final test, the team traveled to the Odeon of Pompeii, a small, roofed theater perfectly preserved by the eruption of Vesuvius. At dawn, before the tourists arrived, they prepared to make history. Elena stood at the center of the ancient stage with the Aulos. Marcus stood behind her with the massive Cornu. As Elena began to play, the low drone of the Aulos filled the stone theater. It was a sound that hadn't been heard in that exact space for nearly 2,000 years. Then, a percussionist stomped out a rhythm on a scabellum, a Roman foot clapper. And finally, Marcus unleashed the call of the Cornu knot, a melody, but a blast of pure, imperial authority. The combination was overwhelming. The soulful Aulos provided the emotional, spiritual mystery of the gods. The powerful Cornu provided the structure and power of the state. As the music swelled, the ruins almost seemed to knit themselves back together. For a moment, you could smell the incense, hear the rustle of togas, and feel the energy of an ancient crowd. The project released its findings, not just in academic papers, but as a digital album. The world was stunned. People expecting simple harps and flutes heard sounds that were raw, heavy, and complex. Some said it sounded like cinematic ambient music. Others said it sounded like war. Project Resonare proved that while empires fall in stony roads, sound is energy, and that energy never truly dies. It just waits for someone to build the right receiver to catch the signal again. Thanks to Team, the Romans are no longer silent. They are loud, chaotic, and they are singing once more. Thanks for watching. If you were fascinated by this acoustic time travel, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the lost worlds of the past.